So you're thinking about a move to Bellingham, Washington. Well, in this video, what we're going to do is we're going to take a 30,000 foot view. I'm going to zoom you out, take a look at the map so that you can orient yourself geographically. And then as well, I'm going to point out some certain neighborhoods, surrounding towns, and certain features that as you begin your research on Bellingham, Whatcom County, and the surrounding areas, you're going to have everything that you need. Be sure to stick around until the very end because I'm going to take you to a great location that many don't think about to go view some of our iconic sunsets overlooking Bellingham Bay and the northern tip of the San Juan Islands. So stay tuned. Each day, each week, I receive phone calls, texts, and emails from people just like yourself that are wondering about moving to Bellingham, Washington. They want to know, are all the things that they're reading, all the things that they're viewing online, are these things for real? What are the pros and what are the cons? So again, in this video, what we're going to do is we're going to take a 30,000 foot view. I'm going to zoom you out so we can take a look as a starting point geographically and some of the main neighborhoods, the surrounding towns, and certain features of Bellingham to make sure that we answer all of your questions. My name is Sean Hackney. I'm broker owner of Next Home Northwest Living here in Bellingham, Washington. I'm a 30+ year resident of Bellingham and Whatcom County, as well as 21 years in real estate. So I want to take all that knowledge, all that fun experience that I've had over the course of my life up here and share it with you. So make sure that you hit that bell notification at the bottom. Like and subscribe is awesome as well, but that bell notification, most importantly, is going to give you a reminder of when new videos hit to give you all the latest information and details about Bellingham and Whatcom County and all the surrounding areas. So let's dig into it. I'm going to take you here. Let's do a little screen share. Okay, so here we are in Google Maps, and I've dialed it back just a little bit again to give you some geographic perspective of where we're located. So Bellingham, Washington, you can see is right down here. Let's do this here. So Bellingham's right here in the middle of your screen. I'm circling it in blue. About an hour and a half north of us is Vancouver, British Columbia, and about an hour and a half south of us is Seattle, Washington. We're directly north of Seattle, right on Interstate 5. You take Interstate 5 and you literally run right through the middle of Bellingham. And then we only sit about 15 to 20 minutes from the Canadian border. And you can see that here, this dark line across the top, that is the Canadian border. You can literally see this little town, border town of Blaine, Washington. Out of college, I actually taught and coached up there for about 6 years. And I can tell you firsthand that the border in some parts of Blaine is literally a little culvert in the backyards between two houses, one being on the Canadian side and one being on the US side. But you can see it extends out here. This is technically the Straits of Juan de Fuca here. These to our immediate west, this group of islands here to our west, but to the right of this dark black line, those are the northern tip of the San Juan Islands. Many of you have maybe been there or you've at least seen videos, and I'll tell you, they are all pretty special and unique in their own way. But even a little bit further west, here's what's even more interesting, are all of these out here, that's Canada. We always think about going north to Canada, which in fact, this beautiful town of Victoria, that's right down here in the lower left-hand part of your screen, you actually do drive north into Canada and you take a ferry down. Ever get a chance to do it, it is absolutely gorgeous and stunning no matter what time of year. But then you go south to go into Canada. So one of those unique geographic things about where we live. Right here we sit Bellingham Bay, so although we're at sea level, we're a little bit protected from the Pacific Ocean. You're going to see the main towns in Whatcom County, which is where Bellingham is. Just to the north of us is a town called Ferndale. I already mentioned to you Blaine. You'll also hear Blaine referenced as being kind of Blaine and Birch Bay together. Those are the 2 to 3 little towns that are basically virtually directly north of Bellingham. If I go a little bit northeast, you've got the town of Linden. You've got some smaller towns over here, Everson, Nooksack, but those are your primary in Whatcom County. Bellingham being the main one. Bellingham, we sit at about just shy of 100,000 people, but we're going to take a deeper dive in future videos into each one of these surrounding towns and kind of give you the nuances of each of those. If I go really far over here on the map to the east, you're going to see the iconic Mount Baker ski area. It actually is only about a 50-minute to an hour drive directly east. It's a 2-lane highway. go the Mount Baker Highway or the 542, you'll hear it referenced out there. It's known for its epic snowfall. In years past, it has actually recorded the most snowfall anywhere in the world of all things, right here in our backyard. So you can see here, Bellingham sitting right in the middle. We have this very cool, interesting area that we sit in, which is part of the lure, the draw, and the appeal that we're going to dive into. So let me get rid of these lines for us, and we will, we're going to zero in here. So we've dialed into Bellingham, and you can see primarily identified, the main area of Bellingham, primarily identified by the lighter color here on the Google map. So again, Bellingham, just shy of about 100,000 people. What's important to note though are these outlying areas here and all the way down here in this direction. That is still considered Bellingham. And so something important is if you have kiddos and you're looking out, especially out in this direction, and even when you get down into here, you just want to be aware of what your school district is. Even though you have a Bellingham address, you might find yourself in a different school district, such as the Mount Baker School District. Just something to be aware of. So if we're looking at the key core areas of Bellingham, I'm going to start here on the southernmost area. Again, these are videos that we're going to dive into deeper, pros and cons, and more about price points of what different housing gets you in these different areas. But again, just to orient ourselves, we're going to start here on the south end. This is called Edgemoor. Edgemoor is one of our older, more iconic neighborhoods, well-established homes that have been around forever. That was kind of like, if you wanted to live somewhere, you lived in Edgemoor. Some of those homes have been remodeled. Others have actually been torn down and newer homes built there, but it still has some of the best homes in Bellingham. Again, it's a very gentle topography down to the bay that it sits. So the views are awesome. So you can imagine, obviously the price tags go up significantly when you're in the Edgemoor area. Also well known that many of you may have heard about, and one of the commonplace I get, I want to be as close to Fairhaven as possible. Again, in future videos, we're going to cover this. Fairhaven actually used to be its own town. Bellingham's kind of a combination of 3 or 4 little towns that all came together to form what we now know as Bellingham. But Fairhaven sits just at the southern end of this, and it's our iconic historic area full of so much history and great stories. I can't wait to share more about that with you again in the future. But again, we sit right here on Bellingham Bay, and so the views are awesome. So as part of that, you're going to have an increased price tag. And along with that, right here, if you can see this little green area on the map, that's called Seaholm Hill. At the top of Seaholm Hill, overlooking the bay, is Western Washington University. It's our main university of about 15,000 students. It was what brought me to Bellingham, and I've just never left over 30 years later. I walked onto that campus that we're going to spend some time at in the future. I came out and I took a look at the bay. I think I picked the only nice day in Bellingham in springtime. It was just a bluebird day, not a cloud in the sky, and it's sitting there overlooking the bay and the San Juans, and I'm like, I fell in love with the university and the town right there. Just below that, what makes it unique and interesting is you've got a college campus, but then you've also got tons of historic homes, many of which were about kind of turn of the century, the early 1900s, with views out to the bay. So again, a very small area, very low inventory, and as a result, very high price tags. If we move just north, just a little bit, right here where it says Bellingham, this is our actual downtown core. Just north of there, kind of northwest, right here in this little bit, is the marina. One of our main hotels is the Bellwether Hotel, and some office buildings down there. If you come visit me, that's where my office is, and that's where we'll start a lot of our tours and everything. So it's a great place to be able to walk out of my front office door and be right there on the marina and take in just all the gorgeous natural views and everything that Bellingham has to offer. What we're going to do is I'm going to move up here to the Cordata area. Again, we're going to be reaching into these in much more depth in the future. You can tell we're landlocked in Bellingham. We can't really go to the west, right? Unless we're going to get some floating homes out there. And so we're landlocked even north and south, quite a bit. Some of it's geographic. And then as we go north, that's where most of our new construction is. I'm going to say northeast, and that's going to be in our Cordata area. So just below the Cordata area is Barclay Village. Barclay Village is a little bit of In terms of Bellingham, respectively, it's probably one of our newer areas, a little bit more an urban village type feel. Then you can move up here just the hill. There's a little ridge line up here, again, offering some great views. As you go into the Silver Beach area, you're at the northern tip, Lake Whatcom. So this brings us to something that's a very important puzzle piece to our entire area, and that is this green body of water here of Lake Whatcom. And again, Lake Whatcom serves two purposes. One is our primary water source, but it also is a huge recreation area. So again, in some respects, you've got two things that are two drastically different things. We need to protect our water source and also protect the recreation and the huge appeal for our area with this lake. Lake Whatcom's 14 miles long, it's glacier fed, it's super deep, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. So what they've done, both the city and the county have gone to extreme measures to make sure that we can have kind of a both and concept. It's not just an either or, either water or recreation. It's a both and concept. And so they've gone to great lengths to make sure that we're protecting our water source and this beautiful natural body of water. As a result, if you envision this whole area as a big bowl, anything that goes with the lake being down at the bottom bowl, anything that runs into the lake is considered the Lake Whatcom watershed. As a result, if you're thinking about building in the Lake Whatcom watershed, you do have higher permit fees. You do have more rules and regulations that you have to work around or work with, and it's going to take some patience. But again, it's for great reason in protecting our water source and keeping it a both and concept, which is fantastic that everybody's working together to make sure that we can keep the watershed in great health and allow us to continue to enjoy it recreationally as well. Okay, so the last thing I would like to point out to wrap up this video about one of the great things about Bellingham is this little green area right next to the lake, and that is Whatcom Falls Park. It is one of my favorite places of our whole area. I am fortunate enough to live not too far away and find myself in Whatcom Falls Park, typically on a run 2 to 3 times a week in there. And this is just, it's our central park. And so you have most likely seen some photos or videos from inside of Whatcom Falls Park. And the great thing about it is, like, pretty much wherever you're at in Bellingham, you're about a 10-minute drive from there. And it's accessible to pretty much everybody. It's not hard to hike in there. It's not hard to run. You're going to see there's a playground, there's a little derby pond, the bridges, the falls, everything is something that we are very happy and proud to call ours. And I can't wait for you to have a chance to tour it. The Whatcom Falls Park is just one of the joys of Bellingham. The trail system, again, is incredible. And if you walk, actually, speaking of the trails, this northern section, you can come out of the trails, you can literally cross the street and you're at what's called Blodell Donovan Park, which is the park, the main park of Lake Whatcom. And it's just a fun area throughout the summertime and pretty much any time of the year. So that wraps this aerial 30,000-foot view of Bellingham and Whatcom County before we start diving deeper into more of the areas and the neighborhoods and some of these things that we pointed out today. But I did promise you something. I promised you that if you waited till the very end, that I would take you to a very special spot to view one of our iconic sunsets. Now, because of our location, which is one of the biggest draws to this whole area, we sit topography. We kind of sit up on this hillside, and then you're looking out towards Bellingham Bay to the west and over the San Juan Islands. And so as a result, we just have these epic sunsets, as well as we get to see these really cool storms come in. They could be coming from the south, they could be coming from the north, from the Fraser Valley and Canada, but it's just, we have this opportunity to view these things in different areas of Bellingham. And I want to take you to one of my favorite right now. Sitting right here, this is Alabama Hill. There is a crossing called the Railroad Trail. The Railroad Trail, we'll get into this in the future, but it takes from Lake Whatcom. It has history that takes you through Whatcom Falls Park, and literally was an old railroad that took you down into Bellingham Bay. There's an overpass on Alabama Hill that is accessible pretty easily that I'm going to take you to right now, and let's take a look at one of Bellingham's most iconic places to view the sunset. So thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this video, Bellingham and Whatcom County. And until the next video, I hope to see you around town.